So welcome to the Run Testers. I'm joined by Nick, and today we're going to be talking about the Nike Air Zoom Alphafly Next %. I think it personally needs an extra bit of a name in there.
Yeah, it's a very short name.
But it's a shoe that obviously everyone is talking about. We haven't had our hands on it yet, but we wanted to talk through what's new about the shoe, what we think it's going to bring, and we'll get into some of the topics around whether or not it's legal and all that controversy. So, Nick, the Alphafly, what's so special about this shoe?
Basically, the Alphafly has three things that are going to make you very, very fast, two of which were in the older kind of Vaporfly shoes as well, which is, one is the carbon plate, obviously, scooped plate, runs like that, stabilises the foam, propels you forward. The other is the Zoom X foam, which is really light, really bouncy. They've got an even bigger stack of it on the Alphafly, but not too big a stack, as we'll come on to, because they've got to keep it legal. And then the new thing on the shoe, on the Alphafly, which isn't on the Vaporfly, is these Air Zoom pods.
And they're the thing that make it look really different, right?
Yeah, they look bad, would be my word. But if they work, it's fine. But yeah, that's why it's the Air Zoom Vaporfly, as Alphafly.
So that's why the names, that's why the extra names are there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And they kind of just sit on the forefoot. They're these kind of just air-filled pods. They're springy, they're even more responsive. They're adding even more to your toe off than you're already getting from the carbon plate and the foam. So that it should be even quicker.
Fantastic. So the thing about the Alphafly, following on from the Next %, is whether or not these shoes are really legal or whether they're a problem at the elite level and at the amateur level. So what's your feeling about that?
Well, it's clear that Nike and probably other brands were kind of... So basically, World Athletics put out this new legislation a week ago, which is that the stack height of the shoe, the kind of stack height of the cushioning, it's got to be 40 millimeters or less. The idea being that you can't then cram in like too many carbon plates and other technology. Now, the Alphafly was a prototype that Kipchoge wore in the sub-2 marathon. His shoe was definitely over 40 millimeters. It was like 56 millimeters is kind of what everyone saw. So they've basically brought out a legal version. They probably had the tip-off that's going to be about 40 millimeters. Every brand is kind of releasing complex shoes. They all want to be legal. And basically the Alphafly is exactly 40 millimeters. So it's running right up to the limit of what's legal.
And it's important to say that it's 40 millimeters in a certain size, isn't it? There's one size that they take this. So if you go a size up, you might have more. Yeah. If you go a size down, you might have less.
So I think I've seen rumours that it's like this. Men's 8.5 is 40 millimeters, 39.5. If you've got bigger feet, you're probably going to end up with a slightly higher stack. But I don't think that makes it illegal. It's a bit weird, basically, and that's kind of really only matters to the elites, but at the same time, as amateurs, you don't want to be using an illegal shoe. People are going to look down on you a little bit. Actually, I think Nike have just released a training shoe as well, which is, the name is it's Tempo Next %, as it finishes like that, and that, I think, has a stack over 40 millimeters from what I've heard. So that wouldn't be legal in racing, but you can use it in training. It doesn't have a carbon plate anyway. So it's all starting to get a bit murky, a bit close to the line. And the other thing is that this 40 millimeter thing was clearly set because that made the Next % legal after the fact. This shoe was legal. All the records set in it were legal because they set it at 40 millimeters, because that's 36 millimeter stack height.
So it feels like there's Nike and the World Athletics have been talking in the background to make sure these shoes come out and hit.
It sounds like it, yeah. And all the other brands as well are all about to release complex shoes. None of them wanted to be illegal. So clearly, I imagine everyone had kind of a rough idea of where these regulations were going to go. The other thing to say about the regulations is that they say a shoe has to be available for 4 months on general sale before it can be used in competition, after a kind of grace period till the end of April. So the Alphafly will be at London, I'm sure, for Kipchoge versus Bekele in the London Marathon face-off. But then it needs to be out for long enough before the Olympics, so it can be used for the Olympics. Yeah. The Olympic Marathon, I think, is on the 8th or 9th of August. So in theory, the shoe should be on general sale April, before that date in April. But
and when general sale, do they mean, because I've seen there's a limited number of these going to be made available initially to the Nike Run Club members, right? But does that count as general sale? How widely available do they have to be?
No one knows. I think it has to go on Nike website, but they could probably I imagine they'd be allowed to put like 30 pairs on there, sell it out in 5 minutes, and go, well, we put it out there. People who wanted one had a chance to get one. So again, it's really... A lot of these World Athletics regulations are kind of kicking this problem down the road, and they're going to have to deal with it again at some point. Yeah. That's why they put this kind of delay. They said no one's allowed to develop more new shoes after this kind of batch, and they don't know what to do, I think it's fair to say.
I think it's a problem, and for me it kind of splits into two areas. There's one for the elites where, whether or not you can get to the start line and be using the same equipment to race fairly is one thing at that level where it's most important. I think when you get down to the amateurs, unless you're a competitive amateur, I think it's less of a problem because you're almost racing yourself
Yeah.
for me anyway. And I've seen people sort of posting on Facebook that if I've done all the hard work and there's someone else who's sort of sat on the sofa all winter, goes out and runs 3 minutes quicker than me in a marathon, well, because they've got special shoes on, that's not fair.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, that person really should take a long, hard look at themselves because they could have run 3 minutes quicker, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a certain element here where it sort of splits.
Yeah.
And if you've done the work, when you get to the start line whether or not you deserve the time.
Yeah.
And I don't believe there are many people who are going to be sitting around doing nothing and just hoping they can lace up a pair of shoes and go and get a really good time. People enjoy doing the work. That's my theory anyway.
I also really should say, you can have a bad run in the Vaporfly, the Alphafly. It isn't going to do the work for you. If you're in prime condition, you've done all your training, it will give you an extra it will give you an extra percent. That's not marketing. They really are better than other shoes. But at the same time, all my marathon time PBs have all been done in the Vaporfly, but I also got a coach, and that's really what made the difference. People train properly, that's going to give you a hell of a lot more than 5% on your time. That's going to knock 20 minutes, an hour off your time. So I think the amateur level, there is a kind of bit of stuff and nonsense about it, but at the elite level, there is definitely a question of fairness because it looks like the Alphafly is going to be even better than the Vaporfly. Other shoes are now releasing carbon-plated shoes, but are they actually going to be as good as Nike's? And are their athletes still at a disadvantage? Who can say? The other really interesting thing is, quickly come on to this now, is people respond differently to these shoes. So Nike athletes get more or less benefit just based on the style of running they are. So if what's deciding whether you're the best runner in the world is actually how well you respond to shoes rather than how well you respond to training, is that fair? If you're someone who gets 8% from the shoes and you're someone who gets 4% from the shoes and you train exactly the same, but this guy runs quicker just because he naturally fits better with this style of shoe, that's another question of fairness down the line because they suit a certain running style better than others, basically. Yeah.
But then for me, all shoes would have suited a certain running style as well, and picking the right shoes. I think there's a whole thing about the sponsorship idea of sponsorship's role in sport as well is a big issue because you make your choice in a way, I guess, of going for which shoe company you sign up to. Yeah. And where do you go? What's the end game for this? Do you just does everyone have to run in the same sort of bland, non-branded shoes? I don't know. It's starting to feel a bit F1 though, isn't it? Where the car makes a big difference.
Yeah, it definitely.
As opposed to the driver.
It's really tied athletics up in knots because everyone kind of accepted that shoes were getting better all the time, but it was such a stark difference, and that's what's really made it look so bad. If Nike released a shoe that made you 1% better every year for 10 years, no one would care. Because other brands would be doing the same at the same time and it would be roughly the same. The Adidas Boost shoes originally kind of improved people by 1%, but 1% was acceptable because that's within your kind of normal race performance variation anyway. It's so much better. And now, but we'll see. We'll see. If the Brooks Hyperion suddenly is a brilliant shoe as well, Adidas is about to release a shoe as well, it's going to be fun.
So my end question for this, right? Having said all that, all the controversy, all of that. Do you want a pair?
I don't know. When the Vaporfly came out, I was desperate to get it, and I'm obsessed with this colourway. It's so ugly, the Alphafly. I don't know. I still probably want a pair just because they're clearly going to be the best. But it would be nice if I could feel confident lacing up for a marathon this year in a shoe that wasn't a Nike. Not that I went against Nike, and I love their shoes, but it'd be nice if I could feel like going to start line just as confident in a shoe from another brand. Then I just feel that then the whole market would be in a better position. If I could go to in this Brooks Hyperion or anything, these shoes are all much because that's what it used to be.
But that's our tip from the run testers, I think, is get yourself to the start line.
Yeah.
In the shape that you need to be in to run the time you want to run, regardless of what shoes you're wearing. And then, if you want to put on some shoes and go faster, great. But be ready to get your target time. Use tech in your training and stuff, but don't rely on the shoes.
Oh yeah, my 100%. My top tip would be if you have £240 spent on your running, spend it on a coach or go to a physio and check out your running form. Do not spend it on shoes first thing. Until you're already running your times that you think are very good for yourself, then worry about shoes. Till then, get yourself a coach.
Right, people, so that's the Alphafly. We've picked it apart a little bit there. We will have more information on the channel soon, so like and subscribe. Come back. As soon as we get a pair to review, we will have something up. We'll promise you that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.